Brothers and sisters in Christ, Christ is risen.
Truly is risen.
Христос înviat. Христос воскресе. Христе згад. Brothers and sisters in Christ, in today's Holy Sunday, third Sunday after Pascha, we celebrate the Myrrhbearing women. From today's Holy Gospel reading, we found out that Joseph of Arimathea took Christ's body down from the cross, down from the tree, living tree, and anointed with spices and wrapped it in a pure linen and placed in a new tomb. And a huge rock was put at the entrance of the tomb. And all this time, since Christ was arrested, during his suffering on the cross, when he was already dead, he was accompanied by the myrrh-bearing women. We see that the holy apostles, being afraid for their life, they were scattered all over and they hidden themselves. Apostle Peter denied Christ 3 times. But at the same time, the myrrh-bearing women, they accompanied Christ, and they show us a good example of courage. We read from the Holy Gospel that they were by Christ's cross, Mary of Magdala and Holy Theotokos and other women. And all this time they were close to Christ. And afterward they placed Christ's body in the tomb, because Sabbath started, and according to the Jewish tradition and the Mosaic prescription, was not allowed to work on Sabbath day. Even coming to the sepulchre of Christ to lament there, as was the tradition, was not allowed because of Sabbath day. So all this time the apostles and the myrrh-bearing women, they lamented somewhere, scattered all over in Jerusalem. And as soon as the next day came, very early in the morning, they ran all together. The myrrh-bearing women ran to the sepulchre to lament there and to bring spices and to anoint Christ's body again, as was the tradition. And again we see that they are not afraid of the consequences. They know that the tomb of Christ is having as guards soldiers who easily could mock them, could easily arrest them and even kill them. Nevertheless, they go to the tomb, and only their concern was who will roll away the stone for us, that we could anoint Christ's body with myrrh. And meanwhile, they were going to the tomb. They found the tomb, entrance into the tomb open, and they entered there, and they saw an angel who asked them, "Why are you seeking the living among the dead? He's not here. Remember what he told you when he was preaching, that after the resurrection he will meet you in Galilee. And go and tell the apostle that he is risen. And here he is mentioning about Peter, and to the apostles and to Peter, that he will meet you in Galilee." Why he's saying about Peter is because Peter was in great despair, and in order to encourage him, Christ is calling again him to apostleship. So the myrrh-bearing women, they were afraid, and in the same time they were exceedingly glad And they ran and told the apostles the good tidings of the resurrection, and nobody believed them. And we also learn from the Holy Gospel that Apostle Peter ran to the tomb, and John. And Christ, in many ways, he showed himself as the risen one to the apostles. And because of the joy, they could not believe their eyes. Brothers and sisters in Christ, today we celebrate the Day of Myrrh-bearing women. Who are these myrrh-bearing women? We found from the Holy Gospel that is Mary of Magdala, from whom Christ cast out 7 evil spirits. And the tradition of the church is saying that Mary of Magdala, she preached after the resurrection the gospel of Christ up to Rome. And she went even to Emperor Tiberius and told him about the resurrection. And the emperor said, it's not possible anybody to rise from the dead. As these eggs cannot become red, nobody nobody can raise from the dead. And exactly in that time, a great miracle happened. The eggs became red. That's why we celebrate, when we celebrate Pascha, we are having this tradition of red eggs for Pascha. Because the egg is the symbol of life which is in a tomb. Christ is life himself, the source of life who is in the tomb. Also, we know about the Mary of Magdala that she received martyrdom for Christ's sake. And her relics, in these days, we found them in France. Also, some parts of the relics are scattered all over the world. Also, other myrrh-bearing woman is Salome. Salome, she was mother of James and John, the apostles. And you remember when Christ, before he was crucified, she came and asked Christ to put her son on the right, on the left hand of Christ when he will come in his glory. Joanna was she was the wife of the steward of King Herod, and nevertheless her husband was serving Herod, and maybe he was unfaithful, but she was faithful and she followed Christ. Also, we have Salome, we have Martha and Mary, the sisters of Lazarus, who was raised from the dead after 4 days. So as I said, from myrrh-bearing women, we learn the virtue of courage. Also, the virtue of faith. Their faith is amazing. And also love for Christ. Because only somebody who loves Christ can follow him indeed and would not be afraid of death. Today, brothers and sisters in Christ, is the day of all the women who are coming to the church early in the morning. And for this reason, actually, church has established the service of Matins, because service of Matins is the service of resurrection of Christ. And we sing Eulogitaria. Blessed art thou, O God, teach me thy statutes. The myrrh-bearing women came unto the sepulchre, and they found the tomb empty. So, for a reason, church established this service, because everyone who is coming early in the morning is similar to myrrh-bearing women. And also you who are present here today, our beloved sisters in Christ, you are also similar to myrrh-bearing women who came into the sepulchre, you coming to Christ's sepulchre at the Matins, and you participate at Christ's resurrection, and you participate at the great celebration of the liturgy when the paradise is open. the holy doors are open, paradise is open, and Christ is calling out all of us into His kingdom. So, brothers and sisters in Christ, let us also keep in mind and have these amazing women as an example for our life to follow. And we also learn from them at least some of the virtues of faith, the virtues of courage, the virtues of great love for Christ. For the prayers of the great, holy, Myrrhbearing women, may Christ our God save us all. Amen.
Amen.